Welcome to Brewster Whitecaps Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Tonight, the Brewster Whitecaps take on the Chatham Anglers at Stony Brook Field. Hi, everybody. A very pleasant Friday evening to you, wherever you may be. I'm Brian Clemenson alongside Sam Dossler. First, let's get to yesterday's game, a 4-3 win against Bourne last night, 8 innings because of darkness. That game was called. Now let's get right to Alto's Alley with the manager's report. A great performance yesterday from Jake Kalish. He was outstanding, with the exception of that home run during his 5 innings of work. Your thoughts since he was making his first start in a little over a month?
Yeah, he was outstanding for us, did a good job, mixed speech real well, located the ball, obviously gave up that home run, which is a bad location, but God, what a nice surprise for us.
Thoughts on Trevor Matsui yesterday? He had been struggling a little bit of late, but he got one that he was able to put over the fence yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he's for a big guy, you know, you just think he'd have more power than what he does, but he doesn't really try to pull the ball too much. It really stays inside the ball, and that kind of helps guys get out of their slumps a little bit quicker. So hopefully he'll get back on continuing to hit.
Bullpen made things a little interesting yesterday. A big win, however, you guys were able to hang on. Are we going to continue to see guys in certain spots having roles out there as the season goes on?
Yeah, Chips wanted to get some kids some work yesterday, and you know, just thought these guys was time, and you know, with Weaver and some of these guys and Rock and stuff like that. And Rock's been doing good. He obviously struggled a little bit yesterday, but you know, the guys for the most part, 3 strikes, did a good job.
You got Austin Voth going on the mound today against Chatham. He really struggled in his last start, probably his worst start of the season. What are your thoughts on him coming into today's ball game?
Yeah, that was probably his worst outing probably in 2 years out here in the Cape, and hopefully him being snide from the All-Star game, this will give him a little more motivation to come out today before the All-Star game and pitch well, and hopefully that'll happen.
The offense has been consistent all season long, 11 hits yesterday. How do you feel about the production that you guys have been getting all season long from the lineup?
Yeah, they've done a good job. You know, we've had a couple of chances to get the big hit here or there that we just kind of haven't done. To get the big production runs, we've been getting some hits, and you know, some guys are swinging the bat a little bit more consistent now. And, hopefully, we can continue on.
All right, great coach, and good luck tonight.
Okay.
Back to yesterday's game real quickly, 4-3 win against Bourne, 8 innings because of darkness. Jake Kalish, as we talked about with Coach Altabelli, 5 innings of work, only 1 run allowed to get the win. He was outstanding last night, considering it was his first start since very early on in the season. Trevor Matsui hit that big 2-run home run yesterday. Jeff McNeil, Ryan Healy, Derek Campbell all had 2 hits apiece. Everyone in the lineup had a hit except Aaron Judge. However, Judge did reach base, so some good positive signs out of yesterday. As we talked about with Coach Altabelli, also 11 hit attack. Sam Mole struck out the side in the 6th. Eric Schoenrock made it a little interesting in the 7th, giving up those 2 runs. Luke Weaver in the 8th inning giving up a hit. That ball hit the bag. Could have been an extra base hit. That was the only real other major threat, but he was able to get the save because the game was called after the 8th inning. So a little bit of a shaky outing, as he talked about with Coach Altabelli, but however, they were able to hang on for the win.
They were able to hang on for the win, and it doesn't matter how pretty a win is. A win is a win at this point of the season, and Brewster needs a lot of them. So getting a win in yesterday's game against Bourne, who is now the worst team in the Cape, was a huge step in the right direction. They take on Chatham today, another must-win situation for the Whitecaps. But it was good to see the offense click a little bit. Some of the big guns get the bats going a little bit again. Trevor Matsui with that home run. Monda had those 2 hits. So it was good to see things click on all cylinders. They were a little shaky in the field. Derek Campbell, who actually we asked manager John Altabelli in yesterday's pregame what he thought about the improved defense up the middle with Derek Campbell. Then he went out there and struggled a little bit. He's not in the lineup tonight, getting a day off, maybe a little burnt out of late, but a good all-around team effort and a much-needed win coming off the loss the night before in Hyannis.
And with the win, the Whitecaps now 14-19 on the season, 28 points, 5th in the Eastern Division now, 14 points behind Harwich. Still can do that, but it's going to be very close, really pretty much out of reach there. 6 points behind Chatham for the 4th and final playoff spot. Tragic number stands at 8 tonight. Could go down to 6 if they lose tonight. Could stay the same if they get a win. And if they get a win, they could be really right back in this. Will be 4 points back. They'll have 1 more meeting against Chatham. And they're just going to have to continue to win and play good baseball. Chatham 17-17, 34 points. So just a must-win. Chatham 8 points behind Harwood. So if something crazy goes on in the East, they could still potentially come in first place. But pretty much out of reach right now for the Anglers. They just got to survive here if the Whitecaps put on some good, play some good baseball over the next week or so.
Yeah, and Brewster's the team who we've been waiting for them to get hot all season long, and they haven't done it just quite yet. They had 1 nice 4-game winning streak, but other than that, it's been a real struggle for them. But if they do get hot, they apply some pressure to Chatham, and things get very interesting. And if they do win today and it's down to 4 points, really anything can happen, especially with 1 more meeting between those 2 teams in a game that we would imagine would have a lot of implications for the playoffs.
It's going to have a lot of implications. This is going to be the 5th of 6 meetings on the season, 3rd and final meeting of the season at Stony Brook Field. Overall, Whitecaps 1-3 in those. They won a game, however, at Stony Brook Field, so they're 1-1 at home, 0-2 at Veterans Field. Obviously, that very bad loss in extra innings with Dylan Davis struggling. JT Files a little bit defensively behind the dish after Tanner Nibbins hitting that big 2-run home run, and they just threw that game away. So the big key is going to be for the Whitecaps beating Chatham the next 2 times so they can split this series, so they can own the tiebreaker. And just they need to win since they're 6 points out. This is who they're catching. You cannot let opportunities like this go away.
Yeah, you can't. This is one of those opportunities that you have to take advantage of. If you don't, things are going to become extremely difficult. They're difficult as is, but they will become extremely difficult. And I was going through some of the numbers, looking at kind of predicting what Brewster would have to do to realistically make the playoffs. Figure Chatham, who has 10 ball games left, if they go 4-6 the rest of the way, I think that's the worst Chatham could go. They've been a pretty good team all year. They go 4-6 the rest of the way. Brewster has to go 8-3, so a tall order, and it starts tonight with getting a win over Chatham.
Now let's compare these teams real quickly. A .270 team batting average for the Whitecaps. That's 3rd in the league. Chatham dead last in the league, hitting .222, so they have really struggled. They're a team that's going to play for small ball, going to try to manufacture that run. They've really been looking for the big hit all season long. Brewster, a .484 ERA as a team, 8th in the league. The big thing that has kept Chatham where they are right at .500 has been that excellent pitching, a .367 team ERA. So that's why they're in 4th place right now. Good pitching is going to take you places. They also have played very good defensively this season. We'll get into that in a little bit.
It's scary to think what they'd do if they had a good offense with the pitching staff that they have. This is an offense who if they get some guys on base, they like to move the ball around. They have some good speed at the top of their lineup. Adam Engel, who's been the leadoff man every time that Brewster has seen Chatham this year, has 13 stolen bases, so they have some speed at the top. They do have some power at the top of the lineup. It's really after those hitters 1 through 4 where it really dives off, and that's where they struggle. But if they do get men on base, they can produce some runs. We saw them produce some runs in their last game on Wednesday, I believe, against Yarmouth Dennis. They were able to put 8 runs on the board, a back-and-forth ball game there. So they do have the capability to put runs on the board, but it does come down to the pitching for Chatham. If they pitch well, they're going to win ball games. We were talking to the broadcasters about a half hour ago, the Chatham broadcasters, that is, and they were saying if it's a close game and it gets into the hands of the bullpen, it's really tough for the other team to do that much because their bullpen has just been that good all season long. We did see Brewster come back against the Chatham closer earlier in the season, Jake Joyce, and take the lead momentarily before they gave it up in the 10th. So it is a bullpen that you can get to, but it's very tough to get to that bullpen.
It's going to be very tough. As I said, Chatham team likes to manufacture runs. The Whitecaps more of a team, get that timely hit and run, as they got guys who make very good contact. So just really completely different games that these two teams play. One thing that has really hurt the Whitecaps and has been a very big key for the success that the Anglers have had to put them in 4th place. They have played very good defense, Anglers. They have the best defense in the league. They've historically had very good defensive teams. They have the record for the least amount of errors in a season to their name. The Whitecaps, however, 58 errors this year. That is the most in the league. They made 3 yesterday, and to be successful, they are just going to have to play better fundamental baseball, the Whitecaps, and that's been something that you and I have talked about that's hurt them all season long, the poor fundamentals.
It has, and it almost cost them the ball game yesterday. There was a ground ball to Derek Campbell at shortstop with 2 men on, runners on 2nd and 3rd, and 2 outs in the inning. The ball ate up Campbell, got into the outfield. The run from 3rd scored, and then if Jeff McNeil didn't make a decent throw to home plate, that ball game would have been tied. Also, if the Bourne baseman, I don't remember who he was off the top of my head, decided to slide, he probably would have been safe, and that ball game would have been tied. But this defense really has to shore things up. It's been better of late, but they have to continue playing good defense. They have a very good defensive shortstop in there today, and Eric Forgione, and Kevin Williams is strong at 2nd base, so they will be strong up the middle today. It'll just be a matter of putting it together for a consistent period of time.
That's going to be something they're going to need to do. They're going to need to help their starter out today defensively. Let's get to that pitching matchup right now. It is going to be Austin Voth from Washington starting for the Whitecaps, 1-2 on the season, a .413 ERA. This will be his 6th start of the season, 6th appearance, 24 innings thrown so far, 35 strikeouts, 16 walks, 16 hits. Coach Altobelli said his last start, which was July 20th, probably one of the worst starts that he's had in his 2 years on the Cape. Got the loss in that game, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 5 runs, 5 earned, 3 hits, 8 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The good stuff is there. He struck out 7 in those 4 2/3 innings, but the control, a huge issue.
And that's what we've seen out of Voth. When his control is there, he's very good. When his control isn't there, that's when he really struggles. That's the story for most pitchers, but especially for Voth, because he doesn't have that ability sometimes to really figure it out as the start goes on. If early on, if you see his arm lagging behind the rest of his body, that's when you know you're going to be in trouble. He starts missing up, and he hasn't been able to make the in-game corrections yet. But when he's on, as we saw a couple starts ago, when he just allowed 2 runs over 6 innings, he can be a lights-out pitcher and be someone that this Brewster team can really ride over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, that was against Harwich. A no-decision 6-inning effort, striking out 11, only giving up that home run. Don't remember who was off. I believe it was the shortstop for Harwich, but the offense was able to come back, pick him up. That was that big walk-off win on the 12th of July. Now let's get to Chatham. Starting pitcher Thomas Lawrence from Maine. 2-1 on the season, a 3.20 ERA, 9th appearance, 4th start. So far, 25 1/3 innings pitched, 26 strikeouts, 4 walks, and 28 hits. So he has very good control. Also showing this year that he can get that strikeout, more strikeouts than innings pitched. He's looked very good out of the mound wherever he goes, out of the bullpen or on the starting rotation for the Anglers. His last start, July 21st, his only real bad start, going 5 1/3 innings, getting a loss, 6 runs, 5 of which were earned, 9 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. But you look back at a few of the other starts, has gone past the 6th inning. He kept his team in the game quality, started 3 innings in his previous start, and the other game was against Brewster July 5th. He got the win, 6 1/3 innings of shutout ball.
So this Brewster team, they know what they're going to get out of Tommy Lawrence on the mound. They've seen him. They've experienced him. We'll see if they can do a better job the second time facing him, or if he'll be one of those guys who just has these Brewster Whitecaps numbers. And Lawrence, he's going to be motivated today. He had a rough start his last time out. He's not going to want to do that again. He's going to want to go out there and really have a good start and get himself moving back in the right direction and have a good feeling as the season winds down. That's one of the keys, I think. These players want to have a good taste in their mouth, feel like they finished the season strong when they wrap up the Cape Cod Baseball League season, prove to people that they can do it over the long haul and not just in a small window of time.
Yeah, that's always a very big thing, especially if you have the guys who play in the College World Series. A lot of them playing extended college season, then coming out here. And if you take a look at those numbers, adding it up, looking to a minor league schedule, that's about the amount of games you play in a minor league schedule, and that's something that you have the scouts. There's not too many of them still. They usually all go away after the All-Star game. A few if you have someone who they're very serious about drafting to see if you're going to play hard after that All-Star game. But that's something they really look for. Are you going to play the whole season out, and are you going to be burnt out? Probably that's going to be a big issue for some of the younger guys, the freshmen, but those guys going into their junior season are going to be a little more ready to play for longer periods of time.
Yeah, they are, and I think that's the key. You got to see if these guys can keep it together, because it gets tougher and tougher as each year goes on, because you play more and more baseball, you get more and more innings on that arm, and you want to show that you're capable of keeping it going, keeping the momentum going for a long period of time. And having a strong finish to the Cape Cod League season is a good indication that you're durable and that you can be successful over a 5-6 month period. Because these guys, they started their games all the way back in late February, early March when their colleges started, whether they play down south or play up north, traveling around. They've been playing games for a long time. It's been a long season, and they want to prove that they can be durable for that long period of time.
And now let's get to a few keys of the game today. Whitecaps going to need to keep the hits coming. Austin Voth is going to need to be lights out, bounce back from his last start. He's going to need to outpitch Thomas Lawrence. They're going to need a clean game defensively. We talked about the defense a little bit earlier in the show. They made 3 errors yesterday, so it almost came back to hurt them yesterday. They almost lost the game as a result of a few of those errors. And basically, even though we're talking about keys to the game, this is a must-win game. They're going to need to do everything right. That's one of the keys to the game, as they are currently 6 points behind Chatham. They're just going to need an overall well-played game tonight if they're going to want to cut this deficit to 4 points back.
This is arguably their biggest game of the season, because they can't drop this game. If they drop this game, things are all but over for this Brewster Whitecaps team. They need a clean game. They have a good infield out there, a good outfield out there tonight, and they have one of their better arms on the field. So there's not really more you can do as a manager. You put the product on the field that you think gives them the best chance to win. This is a good lineup he has going today, and now you just got to go out there, play the game, and hope in the end you're the team with the more runs, and you keep your playoff hopes realistically alive.
Still on 5 o'clock right now. We talked about yesterday, the lineup of card exchange was a little late yesterday. They've done it already around 4:56, 4:57. That happened. Umpires standing. The Whitecaps still not taking the field, so still have not done the national anthem yet. And we talked about yesterday, and we were talking before the game, the last few 5 o'clock games the Whitecaps have played, we've not been able to get full games of baseball in, and that's because the game, some sort of delay always seems to start these games from happening, and there's a little bit of cloud cover. There's a little bit of showers in the forecast, so it's going to be very important for them to take the field. So hopefully 9 innings can get in. Sunset's 8:04 tonight, and got to assume a little bit earlier because of the cloud cover.
Yeah, it's confusing as to what's going on. Normally they do have the national anthem sung by now. It looks like they're starting to make a move to the field as we speak about it. But looking at the radar, weather.com has some rain rolling in at 6:45 and continuing for the next few hours or so. Some green, some yellow, so possibly some thunderstorms on their way. So it's important to start these games on time, and if possible, even 10 minutes early.
Yeah, they've definitely have started a few around 4:57, 4:58. Those extra few minutes could always make a difference. And now we're going to take a quick break for the national anthem as the Brewster Whitecaps take the field. You're listening to Brewster Whitecaps Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.